Thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet Voice You Know with the News You Trust studio, sponsored by BASF, where you can count on the trusted performance of Allevo seed treatment to protect your soybean crop. Well, this year's corn and soybean crops continue to reflect record highs in categories within the USDA's latest crop production report.
What changes were noted from September to November within USDA's latest crop production reports? Corn production is forecasted down 1% from 2 months ago, yet still projected to be record production. Likewise, corn yields were down slightly from the previous report, yet still record high. Soybean production forecasts were lowered by 1% from September and 3% year over year. Despite lower harvested acres from last year, bean crop yield is forecasted to set a record in 2025. Cotton production forecasts rose 7% from the previous report, yet 2% lower than in 2024. Higher yields were recorded from September and from last year. 58 pounds from the previous forecast and 33 pounds from 2024. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
So how did the markets initially react to some of the aspects of the USDA's first crop reports in 2 months?
Initial market reaction to USDA's first crop production report since September? Chief Economist Seth Myers says first,
the corn yield estimate was only down 0.7 of a bushel. The trade was looking for something more like 2 7/10 of a bushel. So bigger supplies, still a 16.7, 16.8 billion bushel crop.
Perhaps as equally notable,
a pretty amazing forecast for the corn export program at over 3 billion bushels. And we raised it 100 million bushels this month relative to September.
A contributor, along with observed prices, that led USDA to raise the season-ending average price for corn 10 cents from the previous forecast at $4 a bushel. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
President Trump is preparing significant tariff cuts and new trade agreements aimed at easing high food prices. The administration last week announced framework deals with Argentina, Guatemala, El Salvador, and Ecuador that would reduce tariffs and other barriers on imports of beef, bananas, coffee, and other staples. The U.S. Dairy Export Council and National Milk Producers Federation last week welcomed those new trade frameworks, saying the agreements will help expand dairy exports across the western U.S. Well, in northern Mexico, New World screwworm sterile fly production and dispersal facility is now online.
The latest step in increasing sterile fly production to counter potential New World screwworm entry into our nation is now reached. Opening of a production facility in northeastern Mexico. As Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins said in August during a visit to Oklahoma,
sterile New World screwworm flies are one of the most important tools, probably the most important at our disposal.
The Tampico sterile fly production site joins an existing facility in southern Mexico. One with USDA investment and renovation will double production once that is completed. Domestically, the Agriculture Department is constructing a sterile fly dispersal facility in South Texas and is expediting design and construction of a long-term production site. All efforts to protect our nation's cattle and livestock supply from the threat of New World screwworm. I'm Ron Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
The markets are next.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
Joey from Vermont, a farmer trying to get through the winter. Adriana from South Carolina, a single mother living paycheck to paycheck. Liam from Ohio, an injured father struggling to provide for his family. Hi, I'm Shanola Hampton, and I support the Feeding America network of food banks because they help provide over 6 billion meals to people in need each year. Learn more at feedingamerica.org.
The market's brought to you by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. At the Board of Trade, December corn, 434 3/4, up 4 1/2. March corn, 448, up 4. November soybeans, 1157 1/4, up 32 3/4. January beans, 1163 1/4, up 27 1/4. December wheat, up 17 cents at 544 1/4. At the Mercantile Exchange, December cattle, $221.27, up $2.12. December hogs, $78.57, up 7 cents. January feeder cattle, $326.27, up $5.72. This is the Ohio AgNet.